Hello everyone, this is James. Welcome to today's episode. Right now, I'm still on campus. With me, I have a very nice student all the way from somewhere in the world. I'm gonna let him to introduce himself.
Hola, mi nombre es Juan Sebastián. I'm from Colombia. I am a second-year genetics student at the University of Manitoba, and I used to be a student at the International College of Manitoba.
Thank you very much. So, Sebastian, and then we also call...
Juan.
Yeah, so should I call you Sebastian or Juan?
Any of those will do.
Okay, so I'm used to call him Sebastian. So Sebastian, first of all, welcome to Canada, to Winnipeg. How long have you been here?
Well, your welcome comes a bit late, you know. I've been here for almost 2 years. So
2 years, okay. So, would you like it?
Like, have I liked it? Absolutely. I would say it has been a radically different experience from what I left back home. Especially in terms of rules and how people conduct themselves. Yes, we have really beautiful stuff back home, but one of the things I like the most is how people are respectful of what needs to be done, the laws, and how kind they can be.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, Colombia. What kind of country is Colombia? Give me a roughly introduction.
Okay, I would say Colombia is a country that it's beautiful in its own way. So it has a connection to the Pacific, it has a connection to the Atlantic. We have a really diverse, let's say, ethnicity. So because we were like a colony of Spain and slaves were brought in, and we also had our First Nation people, we have a really broad mixture. You have to add into that also that other ethnic groups came. So when you go to Colombia, you see people who are like Black people to real Caucasian people, and all of them are Colombian. We have all the like gamut in between. I would also say that it's pretty in the sense that we have almost all kind of like ecosystems and waters. So you have from the deserts and beaches, to the really like snowy mountains. You don't miss anything. Our culture is super diverse too. I'll say the only downside is that we are a really selfish culture. So we have really like historically found it hard to collaborate and coordinate. As an example, for instance, I don't know if you knew, but Panama used to be part of Colombia.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, Panama used to be a part of Colombia.
And around, I don't remember the dates, don't quote me on this, it was the beginning of the 20th century, because our government was focused on how to make a few elite rich in the capital. They completely ignored, that's a situation right now, but it has gone a bit better. They completely ignored like the most external, we call them departments. But here they call provinces. Panama was one of them. So United States came and they said, you know what? You have a really advantageful position. So we're gonna help you become independent. And so they did. Okay,
cool. So I guess talking about your hometown, home country, everybody has endless things to talk about. However, today, we're gonna introduce your experience to the audience about study abroad. Okay, so first of all, why Canada?
Okay, that is an ample question from me. So it was a coincidence. I was initially trying to go to France to study because they say that tuition fees are more affordable there. However, the life expenses are not. But COVID hit and I was underage. So underage people were not allowed to go to France. And I decided, okay, I'm gonna study French in the meanwhile in Quebec. And while spending time in Quebec, I realized that there were many really attractive...
Nice things about Canada,
Yes, and attractive academic institutions as the University of Manitoba.
Now, so were you in Quebec before?
Yes.
Oh, so you were in Quebec. How long were you there?
6 months.
6 months, and then you moved to UFM, Manitoba?
Oui.
Oh, so Canada was not your first or final destination?
No. In fact, Canada came into my life like in the middle of another project because I was already studying chemistry. So I was studying chemistry for a semester. I went to Quebec, then I studied chemistry for another 6 months, and then I came to Canada.
Oh, okay. So how's your French?
Là, c'est difficile.
I know a little bit. Ça va?
Ça va, oui, ça va. Ça fait longtemps.
Ça va très bien. Yeah, je m'appelle James.
Ah,
Et
mais
toi?
a bit of French. Je m'appelle Sébastien.
Yeah. So my son is in French immersion school
Okay,
right now.
that's
So
cool.
yeah. Okay, interesting. So I didn't know this part of your experience. Okay, so Quebec and Manitoba is very different already, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And then Canada, Colombia are also very different. So now you don't want to go to France anymore, right?
Not in the short term, at least.
Do you still think yourself going to France one day?
I'm really open to possibilities. So because I know French and there's like a big industry in terms of biotechnology and everything that I'm interested there, I might end up going.
Okay.
But right now there's not like a fixed plan to go there.
Okay, okay. So your goal abroad, overseas, just for studying?
To a great degree, yes, but it also connects to what I want to do as a professional.
Yeah.
Because in many Latin American countries, there is little investment in research and development.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main advantages why I choose Canada, because it's a strong country in terms of research.
Yeah.
And people who might be like more familiar with research might say, what is he saying? Like United States, Europe are really like leading on this, but still from the continent itself, if you compare how accessible and easy it is for like, let's say foreigner to come here, contribute to the economy and even stay, it's a really like, and to the advantages that they can get, it's a really nice ratio.
So at this point, have you ever considered about staying like as a PR, immigrate to any country, like Canada or France? Have you thought about that?
Once this became a project, I decided that yes, I want to get the PR because I want to be at least have a place in which there's safety that I can grow as a professional.
Yeah.
But there's also some certain safety that I can enjoy my life as a person.
Okay.
Because back home, there's lots of instability, economic instability, political instability. Here, let's say the state of well-being that people enjoy is really, really, I wouldn't say envy. I don't envy because I don't like that word, but it's really like admirable.
Yeah, okay. So once you got here, I don't know if you remember, the first day, 2 years ago, you got here. Did you come in the summertime or?
Winter.
Winter, January?
No, December, but late December.
This December, you went to Quebec first.
Yes.
So Quebec is also pretty cold too. Okay, so what was your first impression there?
Quebec or here?
Quebec, yeah, Canada.
Okay, so for Canada, I felt like people were a bit isolated.
Okay.
I felt like one of the advantages of Latin America is that people are really warm and open.
Yeah.
But when I came here, everyone was like, you could feel a barrier. And then I realized that it's even like more pronounced here in Manitoba. In Quebec, I feel like people are a bit more liberal.
Okay.
In the way they behave. Then I realized that even if they set like certain boundaries, there's lots of freedom of expression.
Yeah.
In the sense that people just are as they like to be and nobody, for most cases, nobody judges them. When I was like in Quebec, this is an anecdote I would tell to my mother and I like to tell.
Yeah.
I noticed that people were wearing their boots and shoes while dirty in the metro. And for me, that was like, is this crazy? Like nobody cleans their shoes here. Then I realized that
because they think it's clean, it's natural, it's dirt is not dirty, you know? Yeah, this is culture different, huh? So anything to say about the winter? A lot of people think of Canada as, the northern cold country. What do you think about the winter?
It depends on where you are. Because even while comparing Montreal winter with Winnipeg winter, you feel the difference. And I would say for the first month, yeah, it might be tough, especially if you're not accustomed to it. But if you're well prepared, all the infrastructure is done so that you don't struggle. So I would say it's manageable. And it's pretty because compared to the Antarctic or the Arctic, the winter is not there consistently, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's a kind of like a cycle that you can enjoy. At the end, yeah, you want it to be done, but then you just kind of like wish for it to come back for a while because it brings change to life.
You're from Colombia. Colombia had no snow, right? Usually, not in the mountains. Maybe in the mountains you guys have snow. Have you seen snow before?
Never.
Never?
Never.
Do you like it now?
It depends. It depends. When there's not many, yes. But when you start seeing the meters over meters piling up, then that's different.
Yeah, I think the winter here is just a little bit long to some people, and then you feel kind of sick of looking at the white snow everywhere, right? You look outside of a window, everything is just pure white. It's beautiful though. It is, right? So in Canada, talking about academic, the school system, do you feel anything different?
I would say is by exponential levels way more rigorous, and I can speak from my academic experience back in Colombia. There was virtually no like request for academic integrity.
Okay.
Here is a really serious thing, and people care about it.
So people back home cheat all the time?
Yes, it was crazy.
You were crazy? Okay, keep going.
And there was like barely any, let's say, repercussion for that, consequence basically. But here you can see like they make workshops. There's this constant request for you to abide to that in the course syllabus. I would also say that one really nice thing about the educational system here is the emphasis on applying.
Okay, yeah. I think that's good. You need to know how to use all the knowledge to apply it in regular life, right?
Because what's the difference between a textbook or the internet and
exactly.
you?
Yeah. So that's the difference. Did you have any hard time when you just got here to study? Do you feel like, oh, this is not what I expected, this is not what I feel comfortable with?
Not really. I would say the most challenging part was actually facing the academic requirements that they had. So let's say more exercises for more classes, a different perspective from others. But I'll say that because I took that year of studies before, I was well prepared. However, I can tell you that from the perspective of my friends and people I know that didn't have that background, they really struggle. Especially because what I said of the application. Because many people are accustomed to the educational system, which is basically memory, right?
Yeah. But lots of Asian countries like that,
But here they are not assessed that way. So it's like a big shock.
Yeah, that's the big shock. So you feel okay with that?
Yeah.
So telling your people who in the future we may have more Colombians come to Manitoba, in this way, do you have any suggestion to them?
I would say be open. I know that in our culture, we can be really judgmental about ways of living and perceiving the world. But here in Canada, the good thing is that you're gonna see the world in one country. So be open to learn, be open to understand new perspective, leave whatever kind of judgmental nature we were bring upon back in Colombia. And just be open to see the world in a new way.
And I think that makes sense because Canada is a very multiculturalism place, right? Colombia, like me, I'm originally from China. Like most of people are the same. I don't see a lot of foreigners like white or black or whatever color they are. But here it's very mixed. Usually the first thing I tell my students before, especially when I was in school division in high schools, the first sentence in orientation I say, welcome to Canada. Please remember, Canada is not a white country. I tell them that all the time.
I feel like I can relate so hard to that. Before coming to Canada, I was expecting to see something similar to North US. Like most people are Caucasians. When I came here, the immigration agent was Asian. I think he was Korean or something. And then I just kept walking and I saw barely any Caucasian in the airport and outside of the city. And it was like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the beauty of Canada. So of course, there are racism here. There are discrimination here, of course. But I think mostly it's okay, right? Have you felt discrimination?
No,
racism?
And I can tell you from what I just said, like compared to Colombia, discrimination and racism, at least in the circles I move, are virtually non-existent. But in Colombia, it's almost systematic. You see it everywhere.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know. I never been to Colombia. One day I'm gonna go. But from my background, from China, I really think Chinese they are way more reasonable than Canadians, you know. But when Chinese are overseas, they always complain about, you know, oh, those people, they are racist, that you know, they complain. But in China, people from this city, they have a problem with people from other cities. I don't know about Colombia.
It's the same thing in Latin America. If you, for instance, ask a Peruvian, they're gonna tell you how historically there has been like this really strong discrimination to people from outside the capital and the main province, and they have like a term for it. It's called cholo, and it's like it's like when people say you're a cholo in Peru, there's some discrimination to it.
Okay.
People feel offended.
How do you know that? Peru and Colombia is not close.
We're neighboring countries, but just like in China, you don't see many foreign people.
No,
it's because I've been here for a while. I've met people from around the world.
Yeah. Do you like it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, cool. So anything funny, anything interesting in the past 2 years in Canada, or embarrassing moment or anything? Tell me.
Oof, embarrassing?
It doesn't have to be if you don't feel comfortable share. But I mean, anything funny, like you lost your bike or something, right?
Okay, yes, but that was my mistake.
It's fine. I'm just saying, like, anything in the past 2 years, anything interesting you can share with
I have one story, and it's related to the bike. So
everything's about the bike.
Yeah, at least in my life. I would say different from Colombia. This like pages in which you can buy second-handed stuff are really strong here. You know, like Facebook Marketplace, KTG.
Yeah, because we think protect the environment is good. So use second-hand stuff. It's good for the environment, right?
Yes. So I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna get a nice deal and buy a bike because I'm someone who feels strong about sustainability. And I think spring was coming in. So I was looking at the prices and I saw a really nice bike, $120. I said, this is a nice deal, I'm gonna get it. So I went there, pretty excited about the bike. And what they showed me was like a chimpanzee sized bike. It was a kid's bike. But because I was there and I was feeling like...
That's why it's cheap. It's a kid size.
And I was feeling bad with the person. I just said like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. So
you bought it?
Yes. And I spent almost a year with that bike. So I was riding, I don't know, it was really weird. It was really small. My back was hurting. And after a while, that bike that got stolen was that one. So the lock got broken. And what I used to do was just put it in a way in which it seemed locked, but it wasn't locked.
See, Colombians, they're trying to play smart. Tell them again.
Yes.
You were trying to fake the lock is locked, but actually he's just being lazy.
I didn't want to buy a new one, okay? And...
Oh, so you lost the key?
No.
The lock. Why you like fake you are locking it?
Both. So it was a cheap lock. So the key was broken and the lock was broken. No, the key was broken, and so I wasn't able to lock it.
Yeah.
Right?
So yes, lightly put them together. It looks like it's locked, but it's not.
And honestly, I was trusting in the good behavior of Canadians. So I said like, if I leave it there, nobody will steal it.
Yeah.
So in a winter, the story ends in a winter. I just put it on a bike rack, same procedure, but it's snow. It's snow? Yeah, I guess. So I wasn't able to pick it up for a while. And it was in front of a bus station. So I was just calling for people to steal it, honestly.
Yeah.
And when I came back, the bike was no longer there. But I was happy because the bike...
Finally, you are free.
Yes.
I'm free from this bike.
And honestly, I thought whoever stole my bike stole a problem from themselves.
Okay. Maybe they have a better use for it.
Let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope. Okay, that's funny. So, Sebastian, I have something to introduce him more to you. So, I run the student leader program. Sebastian is a peer educator, which means... peer advisor, which means he gave student advisors advising for their life, academic, everything. So he must to know a lot of cultural, academic, everything. He needs to be the notebook, right? And then he used to be a leader, and now he is on board with us. He's a student leader manager now, right?
Yes.
So being a student leader, how do you feel about that?
Well, I would say right now, I would like to compare it. So right now I feel really happy about it because one of the main things that I like to do with my life and my efforts is to help others.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, I was really daunted because when I first came here, I was a shy person. I didn't engage with community, so it was a completely different
Wow,
world.
that's weird. Usually,
Right?
in my mind, the Colombians, Mexicans, they're all wild. You know, the party.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm a weird Colombian. I was shy. I don't drink coffee. I don't play soccer. So that's I was
You're
on
weird,
the
yeah.
third standard deviation from what a Colombian can be.
Okay. So being a leader helped you to grow up your
Yes.
your leadership and then your personality even
My interpersonal skills.
Yes.
And I also use it as an as a situation to practice my English. So you might think, okay, this guy is just like really questioning his words right now, but I was worse even before. So I said the only way, and because I knew from Montreal, the only way in which I can really enhance my language skills is by immersing.
Yeah, social with people. Yeah, that's the best way to learn, right? Do you mind if I tell people the first impression I had from you?
I want to learn. Tell me.
No, you know the story.
I don't mind.
Yeah, you don't mind? Okay. The first time I met this guy, I was doing training for all the student leaders. I trained them, you know, and then I order food for them. I order like a buffet style. This guy, he looks very fit. He's not a big guy or, you know, he's not fat or whatever. And then he had a plate with food like this. I said, oh man, I was not trying to not let him eat. I was just saying, hey man, what's your name? So I said, oh, I don't remember what he told me. I said, man, you know, you can always come back. You don't need to get that much in the first round. And I would like everyone to have some, you know. And then since that, the good thing is, Sebastian changed. Like, he actually listened to me. And then since then, every time we have other events, we have pizza or other food I ordered, he's very behaved. I really appreciate that. Seriously, I see the change from you in this way. So my next question would be, is that just you or in your culture that people are just like that in Colombia? Or because you are in Canada now, you feel like I want to be a good Colombian, so I want to show people Colombians are good, so you are behave better than normal? Or like, I can see the change from you, like why?
Okay, so I'll answer that question in two parts. The first part is, as in every other country, there's personalities for everything, right?
Yes.
So it's hard to say like all Colombians are that way. In terms of appetite, I'll say yes, I'm an exception. I like to eat quite a bit.
Yeah, he still eats a lot. Yes, okay, yeah.
But it's weird because I'm good with, like, if there's not much food, I'm good with eating a little. If there's lots of food, I'm good with eating a lot. So it's weird. Now, well, the second part, yes. I feel like there's always this sense of you don't want to let your culture and your identity down. You don't want you don't want to people be thinking down on where you come from and all your heritage.
Yes.
So yes, I do take like feedback from people, but in general sense, I like to like stay as close as a good citizen as possible.
Good. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry. I apologize if that day I was a little harsh on you, if I made you uncomfortable. But what I said was truly just a little advice for you, you know. And I'm very happy that you listened and then you made a change on that. I agree with you that I made lots of videos in Chinese talk about the bad behaviors that Chinese do in other places overseas, you know. Lots of people don't want to admit that. Lots of people don't want to listen to you. They think I'm the bad Chinese. I'm not always talking about bad things about, but no, my intention is I want everybody to understand this and then be better. So when Chinese go overseas, people will think, oh, Chinese, they're so behaved. You know, if after watching a concert, Chinese people clean up everything, you know. So like you said, you don't want people to see Colombians down, right? So you are listening and then you are trying to make a change. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Gracias. Mucho gracias.
De nada.
Okay, so keep going. So we're talking about academic. You are peer advisor.
Yes.
You need to know a lot of local city, cultural
resources.
Yes. So you tell me, what is the best part for living in Winnipeg, in Canada?
for living in Winnipeg, I would say, and I was thinking about this a few days back, the connection with nature. Because I've been at other cities, and these cities are huge, like urban monsters.
Concrete.
Yes, but here you can still feel the nature. And as somebody who comes from kind of a rural place, I really appreciate that. It's soothing in a way.
Yeah, okay.
Like here, for instance, here at the campus and like the neighborhood, you see deers, you see rabbits. It's really cool.
Yeah, deers, rabbits. Yeah, even sometimes I saw eagles flying. Yeah, this is one thing. Okay, so Winnipeg is a very nice nature place to be close with, and
for Canada.
Yeah, for Canada overall.
I would say the nice thing is the resources and how the whole system is open to help, even if you are not a Canadian per se. So for instance, I can give you some context. Back in Colombia, okay, some people might get angry, and I understand, but back in Colombia, we have like this really negative perception of some of our neighbors, Venezuelan people, because they are struggling with some like really tough political and social situation. So they are migrating. There's uncontrolled migration. Right? So they move to the different countries, and the countries are not done to support them. But basically, like there's no resource that it's openly willing them to help them, right?
To accept them.
Yes. Here in Canada, for instance, as an international student, I have access to food banks. I have access to cultural activities. I have access to clubs. All this thing is open for everyone who is willing to do it.
Equally. Right?
Yes.
We are very equal here. Equality is very important. Yes. I think Canada is good in this way. The reputation of Canada is Canadian culture is just accepting different cultures. Right? We're not trying to make you feel unwelcome, right? So overall, you like here?
Yeah, and the other thing that connects to these resources is how aware people are of the need to help in community. How everything is done in a way in which you're not left by your own devices. You're not left alone. You can always ask somebody. You can always count on somebody.
I do agree with that. People here, they're very warm-hearted. They just want to help you. Even though you're not asking, if they see you confused on the street, they may just check on you. Are you okay? Need help? You know? Yeah, I totally get that. So we talk about academic, about life here. Hey, okay, one more thing about the life here, not outside of school. What did you have any good friends who are not Spanish speaker? Do you have good community to belong? Do you have those experience?
I would say yes. And you might think this is weird. I don't have a really close circle.
Okay.
I know lots of people, but I just share with a few. And even then, I do have some international friends, and that is like a dream that I had before. When am I going to meet an Indian? When am I going to meet somebody from Africa? Here, now I just think, I just know too many people from these places. But still, I'm close to some of them, and that's really cool because they have their own perspective of the world. Which is like, it contrasts with mine, but it's also cool to see how people can think differently.
So when students are study overseas, one of the biggest challenge they face is culture shock. Have you felt that?
I would say when I came here, I was already experienced with it. Because I went to Montreal first, right?
So let's say Montreal, like in Canada.
In Montreal, it was even tougher because I was almost all by myself. So when I went back to my apartment, only Solitude was waiting for me.
That sounds sad.
Yes. So I would say yes, especially with the ways in which people were, like, let's say, behaving in public. How were you supposed to, like, not be as loud, for instance, or how were you supposed to behave in the metro or public spaces? And also, like, in general sense, the day-to-day interaction. Because as a Colombian, I'm used to an interaction in which people are like really open. But here, I was barely able to share my thoughts because I didn't know where was the boundary. So I would feel really, really like isolated in a sense. That only came with time, right? Like interaction,
of course,
you know,
of course,
have to share. But yeah, and after a while, you just are able to adapt, and I would say it depends on the culture you come from and your habits. Yeah,
and different people, their personality is different, right?
True.
Some people
That's
just
also true.
They are also isolated back home, no matter what, right? So, do you talk to your parents every day, Steve?
Okay, so at the very beginning, yes, especially because it was kind of a company, right? Because you didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Now I do try to talk with them. I don't talk like every day, at least 1 or 2 days separated from when I talk with them.
So like twice, 3 times a week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you miss home?
I do, but it's different. Before it was like, you miss the little thing, right? You miss the food, you miss the,
of course,
the human interaction with your friends, but then you just build your own life. And it's just like, I just want to see what I was familiar with on the beginning with, but it's not like I'm dying to go back.
Yeah. So, any cry, any tears?
At the beginning, yes.
Yes?
Especially...
How old were you in the beginning?
I was 18.
18?
Yes. And it was weird because I think this is an idea across the globe. It's guys are not expected to cry or show their feelings, right? So it was like especially hard for me because I was facing this, being away from everything I know, and I was also like putting this boundary to myself, like you're not supposed to show this. So at the beginning, at the end, it did happen, and well,
you break down.
It didn't break down, but personally, I do feel like being able to do it allowed me to be honest with myself, and then be like sensible about how important it is to actually show your feelings.
Yeah. Okay. So Canadian culture, not like my culture or your culture, man, it's okay to cry, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging you to cry all the time. I'm just saying, feel free to be yourself. You know, Canada, you know, LGBTQ, you know, different religion, be yourself.
And mental health.
Mental health, yes. Huge. Sometimes you need to let the feeling out, right? Okay, so sounds like you had some hard time in the beginning, but it was okay. It was not too bad, right? Okay. So any suggestion for the future international students who are not even going to Canada? Maybe they go to France, England, Australia, whatever. Any suggestion for international students?
As a peer advisor, I have the suggestion for all international students. Get involved in community as soon as possible. Do not isolate yourself. I was speaking with a professor and she told me that some statistics say that when an international student is not able to say, I have at least one friend during their 6th week, there's a really high chance that they go back.
Oh, okay.
You need to build connections because that's when you stop all that noise in your mind from playing against yourself. And it's when you start like making the most out of your experience. My last batch of international mentees have done a really good progress just because I was really encouraged them to get involved. And then it was just like inertia, like a snowball. So I told them, hey, do this, do that. They liked it. And now they created a group themselves with more international students and they just share opportunities. So I see how happy they are and how connected and energetic they are because they participate in other stuff other than academics. And I can relate it to my first term as an international student because I would only study, eat, and repeat. And by the end, I was exhausted, I was drained. But I see how they are making the most out of their experience and I'll say that's the best thing people can do.
So it starts raining now. Okay, at the end, use your own language. You can speak Spanish, whatever, to your friends back home because I'm going to post this on YouTube. Is that okay?
Yes.
Do I have your...
Yes.
Okay, I have your permission?
Yes.
Okay, so you give me the permission to post it, okay? So say anything you want to your family, friends, whatever you want.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Familia, amigos. Estoy disfrutándolo más que nunca, ¿saben? Esto ha sido una locura, altos, bajos de toda clase, pero de verdad que he crecido mucho como persona y cuando nos volvamos a ver voy a tener un montón de anécdotas e historias que contarles. Los extraño un montón y nos veremos pronto.
Adiós.
Adiós.